And blast off. What's up, my brother from another
Hey Joshua,
mother?
what's happening? How are you today?
Great. So today is a little bit of a different show. We've got Maxalicious with us, Max Cantor, whom I got to know over the last year through live streams like this. And he was heckling me from the stands, stalking me from afar, and then we
Uh,
became friends. So
yes,
welcome, Max, man. Thanks for joining us.
thank you very much. I definitely have my eye on you, man. You're that secret source to everybody's success, and I was tapping into it, so I had to go back in the archives and find out who you were, what you did, and the only thing I couldn't find yet is your cell phone number.
Yeah, I'm kind of a hermit, but
Yeah, I like it.
the yeah, it's been a while. Like I think you went way back to like 10, 15 years ago when I was active. So that's kind of cool. Tell me, I'm just out of curiosity, what was it that really resonated with you? I know you've shared just some general things with me but some of the stuff that I've done with Telman and Tim and um, I think has really resonated with you and probably sparked some of the desire to want to know more and reach out to create a friendship together here. I'm just kind of curious, like, is there anything that stood out or that makes sense from that standpoint?
Yeah, just the energy really coming from you is I've been in the internet game for or trying to get in the internet game for a while, and just there's just not too many people out there that had the I don't know. You give me this real comfortable presence of like the real deal of what's happening, and the way you communicate. The way you communicate is perfectly for me to understand actually myself a little better,
Oh,
which
cool.
is good. So when I saw you, there was something I knew that I we had something similar. And as we chatted through the year or so, we do have a few things that are similar.
Very
And
similar.
I'm very much an energy person, so I can see you from a mile, and I know I'm going to get along with you or not, or I can see you on the internet, and every time I, it was also every time I was reading about others and seeing how well they did, sort of towards the tail end, your name came up. And then I'm reading, and then your name came up again. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? So I'm
Really? Oh, cool.
pretty good at the research, and I went down the line, and like I said, I probably went back, 10, 15 years on you, and just found out some stuff about you and reminded you, but maybe you didn't know about or
Yeah,
forgot
for
about.
sure, for sure. Yeah.
And I think nowadays it's really difficult to know what you're getting on the internet and who you're dealing with, and what the truth is, because like you and I could go online right now and I could say, hey, I'm blinging out, I got my new McLaren, and yeah, but I rented it for $1,200 for the day. There's just a sincerity about you, Tellman, Tim. I mean, those guys are just true people. I know I could sit down and have a really good time. I
Yeah.
could talk business or I could talk about life, but what I like most is that we talk about life first, because if the life first isn't copacetic, then the business doesn't work.
Right.
And and it was cool because I was in a space where I really wasn't concerned about the business. I wanted to better myself and my being, and like, where did Max go? I know all the mindsets, playing baseball on a professional level, being on television, and the mindset. I was just immediately attracted to you for that, and it seems like you were able to. I don't know. I felt like really personal, like talking to you when I first met you, and I think that's a big thing when it comes down to the internet world, getting to know somebody, because we're not
Yeah.
all going right now and shaking hands and going getting cocktails and we're doing this now. I mean, that's not personable. You can't, like, like, here, I saw a little baby in a stroller the other day, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, oh, you're so cute, and she's looking at
Yeah.
me, why do you look? And I'm like, I pull my mask, and I'm like, and she
Right.
went,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, we're missing that, man.
For
But
sure.
It was
And
your
even,
energy
I
that
mean,
drove
even
it, right?
before the pandemic and all of that, the connection, you know, I mean, I've said this for years, that the internet and social media gives us the illusion of connection. And we think that there's a Jimmy Buffett song that I think it's called the Information Superhighway, and he came out with it in I think the early 2000s. And there's a line in it that always gets me, and it's as true today as it was when he first wrote it. It's like, so plugged in, yet all alone. And,
Wow.
you know, that's what I think that we have gotten used to, like, what is supposed connection is really turning into isolation, because when we connect on Facebook, or when we like somebody else's post, or we comment on it or whatever, it's not a true connection, and it's not a true, like, that's why I really respected you for reaching out and really pursuing a friendship, because that's a true connection. Like, what we're doing here is a true connection, and being able to have that carry over is a true connection. And I think, frankly, that's the secret. Everybody wants to eliminate the work, quote unquote, work in the internet, because it's supposed to be, everything's supposed to be automated. It's supposed to be, push button ready, and, sit back, press the button, make millions of dollars. And that certainly is possible, but not out of the starting gates. And the other thing that I've really come to embrace, I didn't always, but I've come to embrace now, is that in the beginning, it is all about the work. It's all about getting in the trenches, getting dirty, getting yourself dinged up, and the mud, the blood, the flood, and figuring it out, and figuring it out with the people that you choose to serve, and getting down to it in a way that is going to give them, that you really truly not just are manipulating the situation, but you are truly empathetic. You're truly able to connect, and you know what they're facing. They know that you know what they're facing, and that they can, that we can start there. And
Yes.
so any business has to start there. And then out of that, you can systemize. Out of that, you can automate. Out of that, you can scale. And a whole lot faster and easier. It's the slow, fast way to do it. So anyway, didn't mean to really get off on that rant. There was something that you've been saying, like, overall in the last 4 or 5 sessions that I've been doing, that have been really resonating with you on these workshop stacks. And I was wondering what that was. Because and if any, like, you asked a really great question when we were talking about the confidence breakthrough several episodes back, and overcoming the barrier of inertia was where it was. And so I know you've got all sorts of insights and things that have happened in your life, and I'm just wondering, like, how I could do a better job of clarifying, how I can do a better job of serving you and, of course, everybody else, and also know what I'm doing right, so that I can continue to improve on that, and use, don't forget to repeat that.
Yeah.
And
I think accountability, most for our actions, is a huge thing. What you're doing right now, I think it's amazing. I'm following your program. Like you say, it's not going to happen overnight. There's a lot of work, a lot of distractions from the work that you want to do. I mean, if you don't put your head down and you're on Facebook or checking out your Instagram feed, you could be, 3 hours later, you're gone.
Right.
And I just know personally that, like family and work and myself and, like, all that is just this huge recipe for success. But if you can't grasp it, it's going to be a huge recipe for failure. So that, for me, is like, how do you focus in on yourself and not allow the distractions to distract you? Because I have a habit of the distractions happen, and then, well, I haven't got that done yet. And then a year later, it's still not done yet. And then I had something else I wanted to do, and there was another distraction. And then I'm here where I don't want to be because I guess I failed to plan and planned to fail in a way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably part of it. I think, though, that there's, if you don't have, I mean, like all of the three barriers and all of the three breakthroughs that kind of stack up, and now what we're doing in this next 3-stack session is all about honing into that. So once you get through and you have some clarity about how you want to put this to work in your life, and when we get to the personalize it step of the process, phase of the process, which will be in the next workshop that I do, which I believe is going to be happening in a day or so, I think that's really going to start to get clear for you. But the more that you can get into clarity and then start stacking your confidence up, the more that you become clear on, I'm going here. This is where I've decided that I say I want to go, not that anybody else. This is what's important and meaningful to me. This is coming from an inspired state, from an internal state. And then you can move forward saying, I'm going here because I said so, because this is where I'm looking to go. And then everything else that starts to fall into place is gauged through that lens, through that filter. Right? So when it comes time to balancing it out and then saying, well, I mean, do I get distracted? Absolutely. I mean, I was talking to you yesterday and telling you that, I've got like 10 projects that I've gotten various states of doneness that I am frustrated that I haven't brought full circle. And it was, so I mean, I can relate to it. And so what for me is that the more that I get through the clarity, and I hone it down. It's like I was talking about yesterday with the magnifying glass.
Yes.
Like when you're burning a newspaper and you get the angle just right and you get it just tiny enough. Well, that's exactly what we're doing now, right? Like we're honing in on it. It's getting razor sharp, and then once you have that and once you're real clear on where you want to go, you can get, if you're anything like me, I can get obsessed. And I can get to the detriment of everything else. I'm when I'm focused, I can block everything else out, and don't get in my way. I'm a type A personality. Get out of my way. I'm just going to make stuff happen. But then, of course, I alienate my family. I alienate relationships and friendships and all of that. And I don't want to do that. I want to have both, right?
So what's your balance for that?
Well, it's being focused on both. That's why I created the 360-degree solution in terms of that metaphor, right? So it's not just about going all out on business. It's not just all about going like all out. Then, I got to recover and I've got to, take a year off and go back and pay my family back with interest. It's about doing it in a balanced way, and it's about once I'm clear on where it is that I'm going, and I'm not just going helter-skelter and, like 3 months this direction, then 6 months in this direction. Oh, now I got to reinvent myself and go back for the next, and this is what's on the next horizon. When I'm real clear about what I'm building and what my vision is and where it is that I say I'm going, and when I'm living from vision versus living from the conditions, living from my Fred stories and letting Fred run the show, when I'm saying this is where I'm going and I'm crystal clear on it and I've experienced that clarity breakthrough, and I'm now everything that I'm doing adds to the confidence. And then what I always make sure that I do at that point is start to enroll the people in my life in that vision, whether it's from a business standpoint, like partners and collaborators and whatever. And also when I've had a staff of employees and that type of thing, making sure that they're clear and that they get the full vision, but also my family, and let them know, like, all right, for the next 2 hours, do you need anything from me before I go into, focus mode for 2 hours? No, right. You're good? No, I'm good. Okay, cool. And then they know that when I'm in that mode, like they can attempt or forget to disturb me, and I'll just be like, wait, this is. But if I take responsibility for it and communicate it prior to, and it's not just about communicating, right? It's not just about saying it and then assuming that they say, okay, yes, I get it, I'm enrolled, and I agree to that as well. It's about really working it out so that they truly agree with it without you doing the Jedi mind trick, without you. These aren't the droids that you are looking for. Um, that's my problem, is that I can get so excited and enrolling that people genuinely get enrolled around me when they're not really enrolled in the in doing whatever it is. So when they're in my presence and in my energy, they're like, yeah, okay, great. And then as soon as they revert back to, because it wasn't a true enrollment, that was their decision. And so what I've learned now in the last few years is, look, don't let me, I warn them that when you're in my energy field, that you're probably going to get super charged up and excited. And I just want to make sure that this is the right choice for you in this circumstance and whatever. And that's true with clients as well as with prospects or prospective clients, as well as with my family. And I haven't always done a great job at it, but as long as I'm conscious of it and focused on it, then I can contribute that and give that back to, and then I can tune into it. So that's my long-winded answer to that.
Yeah, I think the awareness, one's awareness of what's going on around them, as you just described, like what you just said. Every time I talk to you, the clarity. I'm fortunate enough that, especially when talking to you, you can say one thing and it changes in a second for me on a dime.
Thanks, Troy. Appreciate it, brother. Sorry, go ahead.
Don't go back at all. A couple weeks ago, a couple shows ago, I was in a little funk and I said something and you're like, if you say so. And I'm like, jerk, you're right. So I was like, picked up the tissue. I'm like, oh well, no sympathy here. Come on, big boy, put your shorts on. Let's go. And I could only hope that other people can feel that spark and instantly change. And it has to be done every day. Like you said, the inspiration and the energy that people around me and around you, they're pumped up. But when they go home and you call them up or you talk to them later on, business, friends, whoever, you're like, what happened to the fire, man? What happened to the fire, So
and that's what everything that we've been discussing in this whole program for the last 8 episodes or however many it's been now, in the program here, the whole goal is to make yourself conscious of the unconscious conversations, the unconsciousness that you don't see going on. And that's why I spent the time to create the Fred framework and the Fred stories. But the question that I posed to you, and when I said if you say so, all I did was reflect back to you the opportunity to see that, wait a minute, that you had that as an absolute fact, and if you say it is, then it is. But that is that a Fred story, or is that true? Is that truth? And so that's in essence what we're doing right now, is we're getting the tools. And you said something along the lines of just now of it's you got to work on it every day. You do in the beginning, but the more that you start to get into the habit of making your unconscious conscious, the easier it gets, and then you start to shift and you start to live in that space. I'm not saying that there aren't new frontiers to overcome and new boundaries and that type of thing, because of course,
if you can get into your subconscious and tap into it, and from what talking to you for the last year or so has totally made me aware of my subconscious, it almost becomes like this loudspeaker voice that you don't, like, whoa, hey, I'm not telling myself the right things. You know what I mean? Like you say,
Yeah.
if you say so.
Right.
And that's stinky thinking.
Yep. Yep. It is, and I'm very cautious personally to stay away, if I can, from the cliches, because I used to be Captain Cliche, right? Like stinking thinking, and whatever you resist persists, and I could tell you all the platitudes, and as I'm sure you can too. And the reason why I am cautious to always step back and go deeper than that is that I think when you say that stuff, when other people hear that stuff, it puts you on automatic pilot, and it becomes a way of just it's more unconsciousness, but you think you're conscious of it, right? When you say
Absolutely.
that stuff, and you're not really truly observing it, and if you stop for a second and you just have the opportunity to look at it and say, oh, then yes, I mean, if you feel it, then great. But you can tell the energy when you're exuding something, and you read energy as well as anybody I know. The difference between just saying a mindless affirmation versus when somebody says it. When they're being that person, that way of being.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm 100%. I mean, just me staying in, stinky thinking. I'm like, well, that was like a lazy comment. That wasn't me. That was just, and I'm never going to use that again. Just so like the awareness you brought me, it's almost like it's communicating with you is like the subconscious of me, and you're talking back to me.
You were just on autopilot, right? I mean, that's just what you're used to. So your Fred story said, oh, now I'm supposed to say stinking thinking, because that's, oh yeah, I get this, I got this. And so Fred jumping up and down, hitting that lid, programs you to, that's the automatic reaction. And anytime that happens, on anything, whether it's even, not that it was negative in any way, shape, or form, because you had drawn the parallels that you needed at that point, and you had the epiphanies or the clarity that you wanted and needed in that moment. So it's not like it didn't serve you, but the ability to then stop and pause and take it to the next level, that's where you made a mention of this, and I don't. Maybe we should go a little bit deeper on this. But you said something about like I never have to address it the same way again in the future. From when you have a little bit of a shift, then all of a sudden, it's not that other things don't come up, but that you have a new. Didn't you say that earlier?
Yeah, it's almost like emptying the basket.
What do you mean?
For like a stinking thinking thing, instead of saying stinking thinking, hold itself. Maybe that's what you wanted to say, but there is a better way of, what gives your life meaning and what brings you joy. And instead of a stinking thinking, it's just a general blanket of it doesn't have any meaning.
Well, it doesn't anymore. When you first heard it, it probably had a profound impact on you the first time. And
Right.
for the first, 5 months or whatever, it probably served you very well. But then it became rote. It became memorized. It became part of the recordings, like the DJ horn that I played earlier, along comes Fred and what you call it, and here's Fred, and you press the button, and
Like that noise just tickles me on the inside, man.
But it's just that automatic where we're no longer thinking about it. And I'm not saying, look, I'm sure you've experienced this for yourself many a time, where and I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, where you said that you can hear your subconscious or your mental conversations, and what you'll start to, the reason why I'm bringing this up is that I can hear your mental conversations. So I become very conscious of it. Why? Because I'm got to first be conscious of it in myself. And so if I'm on the lookout then in other people, it helps me then to, because if I'm projecting it out to you, well, then the reason why I'm sensitive to not using cliches and things that I've memorized by rote is because I did it for so many years personally, and I want to make sure that I'm not doing that anymore for myself, because I don't think it serves me to go on autopilot, because it's just a disguised version of staying stuck, of staying inside the Fred stories and letting those run the merry-go-round.
Wow. Great clarity, man.
Cool. All right, so tell us your story about your the gourmet chef who couldn't taste, who lost his sense of taste, and without resonating inside the negativity of the story and the woe's me side of it, but the background. I think it's really kind of cool.
Back in the 99, 2000? No, 93. I don't remember the year. I was playing baseball. I got signed double A with the Orioles. I was a professionally in-line skater back then, had a big old t-shirt company for about 15 years. And on a Sunday, I left my parents' house, getting ready to leave for New York to play for the Orioles on the Monday. And I wanted to hit that one last jump. Had my headphones on. I'm jamming to AC/DC, Shoot to Thrill, Play to Kill, Too Many Women and Too Many Pills. And I launched this one jump. It took me about 10 feet. It was from a sidewalk on the side of a building, which went over the sidewalk of Federal into Federal Highway. I timed it 6 times. On the 6th time I went, and as I'm up in the air, I look straight in front of me, and there's this guy in a Jeep, and his face was just like, and I would have looked to the left, and at this point in time, what took probably 10 seconds, it seemed like 15 minutes. And as I'm up in the air, I'm looking over, and I'm like, well, this car's gonna take me out. Car's going this way, and I'm gonna have to jump over the hood, or he's gonna take me out. So as I landed on the ground, just like an antelope or a gazelle, I jumped up as fast as I could, and there the hood of the car hit me in the shins, blocked my face, up and over the car, ended up laying in the middle of the road. Blood was drying all over my face, and I broke every bone in my face but my lower jaw. Tracheotomy. I got 39 screws. They cut me from ear to ear, and I didn't get my taste buds back for, it was just about a little over a year. And the first thing I could taste was my buddy Chris's big old Italian family, and his mom was still cooking for 8, when everybody left the house. So those were the days when you'd go over your friend's house and you'd open up the door and be like, hey, what's up, Max? I'm here. Anybody home? They'd be like, yeah, come on in. Now you got to go through the guard gate and ring the doorbell and unlock this. And so I went over to Mrs. Corso's house, and I put my finger in that sauce, and I was like, whoa, like the acidity of the sauce, man, was just like, it just ran rapid through my palate.
Woke everything up.
Yeah, woke everything up, and then it sort of toned down a little bit. And then like a week or two later, I didn't have smell either, because I broke everything in here. So like screws around here, my cheeks, my mouth was wired, the tracheotomy here. So like 2 weeks later, I leaned over, to a rose, and took a big old sniff, and like, whoa. I mean, with like, instead of like the taste buds had this amusement 4th of July thing going, like my nose and all, like I was getting reprogrammed again. And then the finally last thing I could taste was chocolate. And talking to my buddy Chris, who just graduated culinary school, and I was like, how'd you like it? He said, oh, I loved it. Now I go, when's the next semester? It's like 2 weeks. I was like, you know what? I'm going to sign up, because if I don't sign up in 2 weeks, I'm not going to sign up for the next semester. So I signed up for culinary school, graduated, got out, and years ago, I grew up in Boca Raton, Florida, and I guess he had the family therapist, and he was making the world a saner place. that was the last day I ever went for therapy. I said, I'm out of here. I'm Maxalicious, and I'm going to make the world a tastier place.
Nice.
And I became in the culinary industry. And, I was adopted at 5 days old and moved to Boston with my mother and father. And I've been pretty blessed since I was a kid. I'm very lucky. And I was very, very appreciative of life, and didn't really understand how beautiful it was. And one of the biggest moments for me was Pearl Jam's song "Alive." And my mouth wired shut, and at that time, a young lady was staying with me. Fortunate for me, one of my crowns popped off. So when she was making me dinner, she'd come over and she'd bring me a plate of chicken and mashed potatoes with broccoli in it. She said, I'll be right back. And I hear going off in the blender and come back with a thing with a straw and stick it right here in that little space.
Wow.
And so I went outside and there's and all these kids are out there playing, and it says one of the lyrics in Alive is something about stepping outside, seeing the children playing. And I wish I could remember it. I'd sing it to you. I take a walk outside. I'm surrounded by some kids that play. I'm a horrible singer, but that was it. I'm looking at these kids, man, and I just started crying because I'm still alive, man. And at the end of this, do I deserve to be? Is that the question? And I'm like,
what did you answer?
Yes. I was fortunate, 5 days old when my old man cruised down from Boston and picked me up in Ohio, because his buddy said, my old man hurt himself as a young boy and he couldn't have kids. So he decided to ask one of his buddies, pretty tough guy in Boston days. He's like, hey, Vinny, I want a boy. He's like, hey, Carly, go down to Ohio. You get one down there. I'll help you out. Yeah. It's like, Dad cruised down to Ohio. There I was, and cruised home.
Nice.
Lived up there for 2 years. Old man hit an ice patch, almost hit a tree, took us out. And from that point on, we moved down to Florida and been here since 72.
So let me ask you this, because clearly you've got tremendous ambition, drive. You've had great successes when you were building your companies, and I know that you're still doing stuff now. And you made a mention earlier about the different things that you're attempting or that you've got, and then you're looking back and you allowed yourself to get distracted or whatever, and life got in the way, and circumstances and situations and stuff. So what would it be for you? And here's another cliche, but I'm going to reverse the cliche on us. The standard, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do if you were guaranteed that whatever it is that you were going to pursue would be successful beyond your imagination, that it would make the impact that you'd like to make? What would you be doing? Where would you go? What would it look like? What would life be? And let's start looking there.
Well, I would definitely, at this point in time, I would hit up the real estate market and own a couple of not individual homes. I would go for units, anything 32 units or above. And I really like, honestly, I like giving back. I would love to be successful enough that where I could literally change someone's life, whether they're homeless or whether they're struggling financially, emotionally.
What is it about the real estate and the I'm assuming residential, right? You said 30 units and above.
Yeah, well, I've been listening to a little Grant Cardone a little bit, so he's got me pumped up in that direction. And I've always been into the real estate, but listening to him a little bit, going for how many doors you need, 32 doors or above, and not just buying that one rental house and flipping and doing the next one and flipping, bringing it a little bigger. And perhaps within those units, it could be maybe a homeless facility for people to get them up and running. And there's just, it's so hard to there's so many people out there that really just even need a hug. Yeah, I would, my goal is one day to be able to just, step out of my car and I could hand that dude $1,000. Maybe he can have a week or two, or I can take somebody back to my house or to the facility I own, and they can shower up, and we can get them clean and give them direction and see. Some people don't want to be helped. Some people like it on the street. Some people are trapped. We all need help, man.
So is it mainly the Grant Cardone connection, or because like the things that you want to do with your money is awesome and great, and I applaud you for that vision, but you can literally do everything that you mentioned if you have success in any business, whether it's
if I'm successful within myself, as I am, and I'm starting in my local area, so it's like a bullseye. So I'll start where I'm, and I'll go from there. And as I grow, things will grow. So you
like the physical real estate aspects of it, and being able to stay in that.
I like
doing
real
stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I like there's other business ventures out there right now. I got a gentleman that's approached me to help brand his business. Does copper ductwork, which if you look online, nobody has copper ductwork. Like it doesn't come up. And nowadays with the virus and cleaning up, all the rooms and the bacteria and the viruses and all that, that's another option. I've always been totally, entrepreneurial. Always had my
I'm just trying to get a feel for helping you narrow it down so that 2 or 3 years from now you're actually in the mix of executing and living that. You can start living it today, obviously, but right. Whatever that means to you, rather than I got like I was saying to you yesterday, I got distracted and I haven't completed on these things, and now it's time to complete.
It's definitely starting with myself and building me how I want me to be, and then I can go out there and do more. I can still do while I'm building me, but I need to build me to a point where I feel comfortable enough that I can go out and do what I really need to do. Like you said, it's the mental thoughts that restrict us. Like I said, that's another reason I reached out to you, because I know you can do anything you put your mind to. Another cliche, I felt like I've been in a coma for 10 years. And, relationships and other things in life and marriage and kids and pets and work and making money and paying bills. You got to get all that fine tuned, man. But I think it starts deep, deep down inside of yourself and knowing me. For sure.
And also just keep in mind that how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you show up in, working on yourself is going to, you improve one area of your life, you improve all areas of your life. So I would advise you not to get stuck in that, well, I got to do this and this, and then I can, live happily ever after. Then I'm allowed to create the life that I want to create. And what I would say to you is that the stuff that you want to work on in yourself is going to come up as you're pursuing, as you're tic-tacking, as you're zigzagging your way to success. It's going to come up. So why not solve that and work on those things and move towards the vision that you want to live, rather than get stuck in this, I call it the happily ever after syndrome, where it's the fairy tale and it's never done, right? So if you're always expanding and you're always going, why not go forward and use that, just like I've been talking about, using this formula and this process as the teaching model, but I'm using the teaching model of internet business, and you're really going to see that when we get into the personalize it step, in terms of how I'm talking about this and how to narrow it down in the 3 different categories, and types of business, and then in terms of growing them and expanding them. But it's all the same thing, and all I'm doing is giving us a platform to play on and to to experience the kind of successes and the kind of work that you want to do on yourself as you're in the game, playing the game.
I like that. That's so much better, so much soothing. Like that right there already changed in me.
Cool.
I mean, and it'll happen faster if you're doing them together instead of trying to separate, do this and that.
Well, here's the problem. You can't do it linearly. It has to be done together. It has to be done experientially. There's no such thing as I'm going to learn all of this, I'm going to make myself perfect, and then I'm going to go out there and do it. Because while you're doing that inside, the world around you, the relationships around you, they're altering. So you've got to do both. And really, the growth happens from the interaction between you and other people. That's why, you have such a deep connection to people, to energy, to wanting to, connect on a real person-to-person basis. That's the power of, all of this is like a playground to be able to experiment in and take your family with you, take your daughter, take your wife, take the group, take your father-in-law, take the whole thing and enjoy your growth through them, with them, and they're doing the same from their own perspectives. And you're all, whether they're partnering with you in business or not, you all are supporting one another to get to the bigger picture. Sorry, I had an alert on my phone there.
So it's like you're not going linear. It's like you're going to jump on the elevator with all yourselves and go to the next floor. You're not going to leave part of yourself on the first floor and then part on the second. Like, we got to go for this ride together, man.
Yeah. And the truth is that it's a lie to yourself that you're going to get this done. Check it off that's done. Check it off the list. Now I can really focus on what I want to do. It's the old, I'll see it when I believe it, or I'll believe it when I see it. Well, you have to believe it first, and then you will end up seeing it. So, it ends up being, have you ever heard me talk about linear learning hoax versus experiential learning? All right, so basically, I'll sum this up because I know we're kind of getting into some long time here, but let me just break it down like this. The linear learning is, I need clarity. I got to figure out why I got here, how I got here. I need this. I need to do this, this, and this. I need to learn all these things. The next hack comes out, the next shift in the marketplace. The Google's now shifting their privacy policies along with Apple, and now I gotta figure all that out because that's not going to work, and everybody's up in arms, and now we got to go over here, and so I got to learn that, and I'm focusing on learning that, and now I got to learn the next thing, and it's like I got to learn all of that perfectly, and then I get to go out into the world and do it, and whatever that might be. The problem is that even if you could learn it, let's say, for example, that you could learn all of it perfectly, that you memorized it, that you could teach it better, that you really, you had it in you, that you had that you knew it, but you haven't yet done it. So now that you know it personally, you now say, all right, I'm waiting for this great epiphany. And now I have permission to go forth and multiply and make some shit happen because now I know this, and I've been given, I've been waiting for God to tap me on my shoulder and say, now you may go forth and make this happen. And let's say that happens. Let's say that that's the truth, right? That you learn everything that you needed to know and that you got that. There's still going to be a huge gap between knowing what to do and being able to successfully apply it in your situation, given your particular circumstances, experiences, because there's always tweaking that's going on when you learn to apply it based on theory versus out there in how it needs to be molded. And, you told me that you were doing some air conditioning work with your father-in-law yesterday. It never goes according to plan. You got to jimmy this here. You got to do this here. You got to make it fit.
Sure.
And and in theory, you could watch a YouTube video on this and know how to do it globally. But until you get there and do it in that particular situation, you don't know what you're going to encounter. You don't know what you've got to overcome and adapt. And so the trap that we can fall into, and I talked about this with the clarity breakthrough, that you got to make sure that you're not getting stuck in the I'm trying to figure it out trap, because that's an excuse to delay.
Right.
And well, I got to work on myself. I got to figure it out myself first. Well, the point is that if you will learn and do, if you will embrace the brilliance of the and it's not an either or, it's not a linear process. It's learn and do. It's experientially trying, because the learning process is involved in the doing process. Because you can't truly master something unless you're able to perform it. You can practice it, you can put it forth. And I kind of got this philosophy from when I went to trade school. And in a previous life, I went to ECAT. I don't know if I've ever told you this. I went to East Coast Aerotech up in Lexington, in your neck of the woods, just north of on 2A there, of Boston, coming up from the south there. And I became a federally licensed aircraft mechanic. I have an airframe and power plant mechanics licenses. And
Wow.
I did that immediately after school because, and here's another connection, we have all of these parallels, you and me, Max. My uncle was a self-made millionaire in real estate, and I wanted to learn how to do what he did, and I worked for him for several summers when I was in high school, and he really helped me, mentored me, turned my life around, go from a New York City
Nice.
street punk kid to, being focused in on taking life seriously. And
Traded your Switchblade for a Mont Blanc pen, huh?
not that much for a screwdriver, maybe.
Okay.
What he said to me back then was, he started sending me letters when I was in junior high and high school, and he would address it to Captain Joshua David Shaffron, Captain JDS.
Nice.
And it was the theme of, you're the captain of your life. You're in charge of where your life gets to go. And nobody ever told me that before. Like, if you want to do this, you can do this. So you can, and nobody had ever shared that I could do it. I just had to learn how. And so when it came time to graduate high school, I decided that I wanted to follow in my uncle's footsteps. And he said, I said, how can I learn how to, because growing up in New York City, I never worked on a car. I didn't know, I wasn't a gearhead. I didn't have any mechanical. I mean, I had some inclinations to be able to work on stuff, and I would, love tearing stuff apart, but I didn't, it wasn't like working on a car in your driveway or with your pops or whatever. So I asked him, and I said, because when he got started, he did all the work himself, everything from the construction, the building, the rehabbing, the sheet rock, the sheet metal work, the ducts, the plumbing, the electrical work, all of that, and he knew how to do all of it. I always used to joke with him that he was like the professor on Gilligan's Island. He could make anything. He could fix anything with anything, because that's how he had to. Like when he first started his real estate business, he didn't have any money to pay anybody else to do it, so he had to figure out how to not only how to do it himself, but he had to figure out how to do it with like spare parts like Velcro and elastic bands. And so he said, I said to him, so how do I do this? And he said, well, what I did, and I probably would recommend it to you, is go to ECAT, go to East Coast Aerotech, become a federally licensed aircraft mechanic. Why? Because every single trade that you can possibly imagine is tied up in that training. And so it was a 19-month program. straight through. But what was unique about it is that it wasn't just the book work, is that they had the practical work, and then the tests were practical. Like, can you do a tune-up? Can you figure out the ground short or the cross short in this box here? How do you figure it out? First you got to learn it through the books and the book learning, but then you got to actually put it into action. So everything that I did has been geared around that, tying it to my learning disabilities, that I learn differently than everybody else, right?
I did a little learning, this reading myself. I had to do vision therapy, and I noticed when I would read out loud, I was like stutter. And then when I was a kid, I put my headphones on and the music would play. And if I read and I didn't hear myself, I could read beautifully.
Wow.
When I heard myself, I was like, when I couldn't hear myself, I was like, Tony Robbins.
Awesome, man. It's really funny that all the parallels between you and I, but all I'm saying is that the I got addicted to the practical application, the in the trenches stuff. So, and when I decided to start sharing the business training and the entrepreneurial and the marketing stuff that I did back after I had actually done it successfully for myself, when I decided to turn to the teaching business or the guru business in 2003, it was after I had made over $50 million in successes and failures and all of that stuff that I had learned some stuff. But it was always geared around, even to this day, I don't have it right here in front of me, but on like the NPod DVDs and the audio CDs, all of it had the yin and the yang, because it was all about both the learning, the discovery, as well as the practical application, the in the trenches, the yin and the yang combined together. And because that was the only way that I could personally see the success, is actually applying it. And that's why you'll notice that even this stuff is the exact, you're going to see as we start going through the rest of the 360 degree process, that it's all geared around both, the learning that's necessary, but also the application, the practice, and to be, so just bringing it full circle back to to you that, and I think we could all use the coaching. And of course, I teach what I most need to learn myself, right? So like, I'm not saying anything to you that I'm not saying first to myself, and taking the coaching myself first, and hopefully it has value for you as well. But the delayed reaction, or the delayed gratification of, when I get to this point, then when I get here, then I can go do this. When I get to this point, that's a stalling tactic. At least it is for, if I'm being honest with myself, that's when I'm trying to avoid some shit. When I say, well, I got to do this and this first. Well, how could I do some of that? Like, it's not that's all valid. I want to improve that, but how can I do that and move forward there's a Quaker saying, and this is another cliche but I like it. It's as you pray, move your feet. And
yeah, wow. I like it.
So experientially, experience it. Get into the dirt, the mud, the blood, the flood, the clay. Mold it. Get your hands dirty. And out of that, you'll spot all sorts. I mean, that's why it was so important for me. I'm doing these things in the beginning now because I took so much time off. I don't have a following anymore like we did when Telman and I were doing it. But I'm doing these as if I do have, hundreds of people tuning in on a regular basis because I want to get my chops back. I want to get, and I want to, get into motion and adjust. And there's things that come out of me that I don't know about, until they come out of me, and then I can actually expand on them and go forward and blah, blah, blah.
I think also, I want to tell you, like, visualization, if anyone can calm their mind down, I think visualization's huge. When I was doing a lot of baseball and sports, I would always visualize. I just started visualizing more now. Actually, my wife sent me a little YouTube video on visualization, sort of like rung my bell and like, oh my God, like that's such the simplest part. I'll give you a good example. So when I was in the hospital, all jacked up on morphine and mouse wired shut and I can't move, what do you think I was doing all day? I was skating. I was rollerblading in my mind every day. I was doing tricks I never, ever, ever do. I would go out and I would do one thing I practiced in my mind was called a misty flip. It's actually a 540, but as you're hitting the jump, you're flipping, but you're turning sideways at the same time. So I visualized that for 21 days. The doctors told me I wouldn't be able to skate at all. 3 months later, I was rollerblading. 5 months later, I was doing the misty flip, and I landed it the first time, all from practice, from visualization. And
Perfect.
if it wasn't, honestly, if it wasn't for inline skating, that's what really kept me alive. And then the people around me kept me alive.
Have you ever gotten to the point where something that worked for you so well, like with visualization, doesn't seem to work anymore? And it's like it worked very well, but it only took you to a point, and then it stopped working when it comes time to visualize?
It stops working when you have all that subconscious stuff going on in your mind, and it really clutters the picture. You know, it's like I'm looking at you and me, and if I held up a piece of tape and I put it over my camera, you just barely see me. And then the subconscious puts on another piece of tape, and where's the visualization?
Great examples. Great.
Very, 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 very important too. If you can hold that visualization for as long as you can, the longer the better, and nothing else comes in on you, then it's like a brand. You're tattooed, man. You know, like a cow gets branded. And a lot of people don't know that trick. It's hard. It's simple, but it really takes a lot of fun.
That's what I'm getting at, is that we've been, most of the personal development stuff, most of the, NLP and hypnosis and the great breakthroughs that have happened have been primarily around visualization and focus. And it works, but there's a problem, is that you've got some of the programming still runs, whether you're aware of it or not, it's still running.
Right.
So sometimes when you're trying to visualize, it works, and sometimes and you don't know why, it's not as effective, and you're feeling the same things, or you think you're feeling the same things, and it stops working in terms of giving you that flow state, in terms of getting you into that place where you become unstoppable because you said so, superpowers, the BYSS superpowers. The thing that you've been experiencing every time that you and I interact, and every time you have an epiphany, is actually the removal of some of that stuff that will then allow the visualization to have the foundation. And it's the Fred stories, right? And that's my metaphor for this. And when we get through some of this stuff, I can't wait to show you the seesaw analogy, along with what I call the Bass Fred pile. And the Bass Fred pile is the reason why we have snapback. No matter how hard we work, no matter how many things we try, no matter how many great visualization techniques, if it snaps back, it's because of the Bass Fred pile. And that stands for the big ass, stinky, steamy pile of Fred. And that's a little preview for you. In a few weeks, we're gonna really start digging into that. But that is, to me, the secret, because once you can eliminate the Bass Fred pile, eliminate that bass, or enough so that it's no longer forcing the snapback, and you don't have to work so hard to overcome everything, then you have the ability to visualize, and you can manifest what you want to manifest fast. because you don't have that extra stuff weighing you down anymore that you aren't even aware of. And so it's success. It's exponential success by subtracting. That's the theme. It's continuing to subtract out all this shit, get rid of it, because you already have more than enough skills, ability, visualization, ambition, drive, focus to go anywhere that you want to go in the world and do anything that you want to do and figure out anything that you want to figure out. All of that is in all of us right now because we've been working on it our entire lives. So the question is not how do we put more shit into the pipeline and build up more pressure to feel worse about not accomplishing the shit that we want to accomplish and to feel worse. It's about removing the pipeline that's clogging the shit up so that we can then move forward with flow and ease.
Yep. Switch the filter. The filter's clogged. Put in a new filter. Yep. It's like today, as we're speaking, one of the units wasn't working properly because the whole filter was clogged. So it was actually sucking the filter into the unit. So it wasn't.
Oh, really?
Wasn't working. It wasn't performing properly. So you switch the filter. The flow of the air comes in. The system cools down. It's not struggling.
Nice.
Get rid of obstructions. That's my AC tip for you today. No, but I definitely, I would say that my father-in-law is definitely a man of solution, an island man from Trinidad with very little education, but a genius in his own world of what he does. He's just amazing. I mean, adapt and overcome. And I mean, we go into circuit. We're not just coming in doing AC work. We're and building coolers, and we're coming in and customizing everything. And like you said, we're just going to run the wire here. Well, oh my God. Well, now we got this in the way and that in the way. We got to go around here, go around there, but you still got to keep your eye on the prize or where you want to be.
I'm going here. Why?
I mean, because
I said so.
As long as you keep going there, it's like I don't know, maybe a guy getting a football or something. I was thinking of sports, but you keep going that way, and it doesn't matter. Things are going to hit you like this, and just keep going that way, and then you're going to get there. You're going to look behind you. You might have some bruises. People will be off to the side, but you got where you wanted to go. Yeah.
And that's what I call living from vision versus living from the circumstances or the situation. And the situation and the circumstances, the conditions of your life are always going to be controlled by Fred, right? And if you're living from your Fred stories or you're living from where it is that you say you want to go, and it's not that you never slip up and you never fall back, but you have the tools to be able to get yourself back on course before you get too far off. And that so it's not a straight line, but it's a zigzag. But you know where it is that you want to get to, and you say, well, how do I get there? How are you going to get there? How are you going to do that? I have no fucking idea. But this is where we're going, because I said so. And now we know what the focus is, and then we just tic-tac our way. And as long as we don't lose that, and that's something that I don't know if I was born with this or whether I've developed it over time, but I never, even when I get distracted, I'm very clear on where it is that I say I want to go now. Come to think of it, I developed this as a skill. I wasn't born with that ability. But as soon as I'm clear on where it is that I say I want to go, not where somebody else thinks I should go, when I'm clear about where it is that I say I want to go, it's just a matter of time as long as I keep focused on that. And I'm perfectly aware that it's going to take me, I'm going to have misstarts, and it's not a straight line. And I think that's another thing, kind of connected with the happily ever after syndrome that we were talking about earlier, is that I think we can get lulled in, at least I could in the beginning, before I ever had my first real taste of success. I got lulled into believing that success could be a straight line. That, all of a sudden, one morning after learning all these things, I was going to wake up and by Friday I was going to be a millionaire because, all of a sudden, boom. All right, I paid my dues. I learned everything that I need to learn, and boom, I'm here. Where's my certificate and where's my $1 million? And that's the thinking that success is a straight line. And then also, like when you're watching other people And there's a lot of experts out there that are awesome that can do that. From our perspective, success is a straight line for them. But that's because they've traveled that road so many times before,
Right.
that it is a straight line. Now they don't have to do this as much, but in reality they're always doing some variation. It's just like the it's not this, it's this, and it's pretty much a straight line because they've traveled the road, because they've built up that mastery of the skill. And what we need to be upfront with ourselves is that it's all about, there's a gap between, trying something for the first time and being able to successfully do what a expert or a master can do and apply. And then who knows whether that person can, even if they're incredible and they're legit and they're doing everything in their power to serve you, who knows whether they are capable of helping you adapt it to your specific scenario, situation, and to overcome what you're faced with. Because now they're thinking from their standpoint. Like when you're get into the success rotation and the spiral, you forget, at least I did, and I see this very common with a lot of my friends and a lot of people that you forget how difficult it was to get to that level. And now what we take for granted, that we just do, that we just exude, that's no big whoop, we forgot that it's Mount Everest to somebody that's never taken that journey before.
And that's why when they hike out Mount Everest, they don't go straight to the top. They go this way, they go that way, they go this way. And when you were saying this, it reminded me of a snake in the desert. And how it just keeps moving.
Oh yeah, to keep the yeah. Cool. Well, I think we've covered a lot. Unless there's anything else that you want to drill down on, I'm really excited to wrap. Unless you have some more stuff for me.
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good right now. This was a good day right here, man.
Right on. Your lights, it's funny, your lights are reflecting off of your new energy level. You're actually glowing and shifting. I don't know whether your camera is adjusting in light or something, but it was interesting how it's responding to you personally based upon what at the same. It didn't start happening, at least I didn't start noticing it until you had made mention that you're feeling really good and empowered and excited. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, is it this? No, this looks like this little or
It's funny. All right, my brother.
So, hey, did Tellman? Did he really buy all the physical end pods for all his buddies back in the day?
Oh yeah, no, that wasn't bullshit. That was absolutely true. We don't. Yeah, no, he bought all of them, and he made me go up to my storage unit and said, "Can you take a picture of them, please, so that I can show people what I'm doing?" And yeah, yeah.
Has he got any left, or he gave them all out?
He sold them all out. He sold them all out.
He did, huh?
Yep. Why, you angling for one?
Yeah, man.
I'll hook you up.
No worries.
I'll hook you up.
I'm all good. Hey, I'm talking to you. That's better. Is it live or is it Memorex? All right, man.
All right, brother. Well, I'll be seeing you over the next few days, and I'm sure we'll be rapping again real soon.
Of course, whatever you need, man. I'm here. I appreciate the love.
Right back at you, man. Thank you very much. Thanks for being such a great supporter.
All right, talk to you later, man. Thanks.
See ya.
Yeah. I'm glowing, bro.